Hello there, it's Sarah from Paper Lovely. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with part 2 of my 8 cards 1 kit using the TSUKINEKO Holidays Shaker Card Kit. So I am jumping right in here to card number 1. I've trimmed off a panel measuring 4 by 5 1/4 of this pattern paper, and I'm going to place that down on top of a green card base. And then I have taken some green cardstock and I've trimmed out 2 of the holly dies. Here I'm taking those cutouts and I'm going to place one directly on this green pattern paper, and then the other one I'm going to turn into a shaker. So I've grabbed the coordinating foam piece and I'm going to place that directly on the pattern paper as well. And here I'm adding in the shaker sprinkles. I'll go ahead then peel off that backing and I'll place down the acetate cover. And then I'll add some glue and place down my green cardstock piece. So I went ahead and trimmed around both of those to make sure I didn't have any pattern paper sticking out on the edges. And here I've grabbed a scrap piece of Neenah cardstock. I'm stamping out the sentiment, "Have a Holly Jolly Christmas," using my Fawn Lobster ink. I've trimmed that down and here I'm going to glue that across the top of my card front. I've trimmed off that excess and here I'm going to layer on my holly leaves and berries. So there you can see the one that is not the shaker I will place on the bottom here. And then I'll add the shaker one on top. And for the holly berries, there was a little section that sticks off of the edge of that shaker, so I grabbed the inside portion of one of the Santa's sleigh and just added one of the curves to that, and I'll place that here also with a little bit of my art glitter glue. For the inside, I'm stamping out the sentiment, "Sending Christmas Wishes," again using that Fawn Lobster ink. And this is my usual Neenah panel trimmed to 4 by 5 1/4. I've also trimmed off a piece of this red polka dot pattern paper, and I'm going to place that along the bottom here. I'll trim off the excess and then add that on the inside of my card base. And that will complete card number 5. For card number 6, I'm going to go back to this mistletoe piece. There were 2 different mistletoe sentiments, so I ended up using the shaker twice. And I've again trimmed that out using the die with some green cardstock. Here I'm putting together a bow that I've cut out with the pattern paper. I wanted to show you how I got the bow together. Since the pattern paper is double-sided, you can't loop it around like you usually do. So I trimmed off the tie portion that loops around the top, and I just used 2 glue dots, one in the front and one in the back, and I'll place the portion that I cut off right on top and then roll both sides around to the back. And that seemed to work out pretty well, especially because when I place it down with some glue on top of the mistletoe, you're getting a little bit of extra glue there, and I don't think there'll be any trouble with that popping up. I've got this pattern paper trimmed to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to place this here on my craft cardstock. I'll take the inside piece for my shaker. I'm just going to line everything up here to make sure I'm happy with the placement. And then again, I will pull out the inside piece and I'll use that outline as a guide to make sure I have this down in place. I'll go ahead then and place down my foam outline. Fill that up with some sprinkles. Peel away the backing, place down that acetate covering, and then I'll glue on my cardstock outline. I again trimmed out some of those mistletoe berries using a cream cardstock. And I'm going to place those down here with my art glitter glue. And I found there that if I use my pin that I keep in that topper on top of my glue, it actually has a little bit of sticky on it, and it works very similarly to my quick stick tool. Sometimes I have to add a little bit more glue, but I've been using that lately and it's working really well for me. Again, I'll add some glue and place down that bow at the top of my mistletoe. And here I'm going to stamp out the sentiment, "Meet me under the mistletoe," again using my VERSAFINE ONYX black ink. I'll add some glue and place that underneath my mistletoe shaker. For the inside, I'm stamping out the sentiment, "Sending you sweet season's greetings," on a Nina panel trimmed to 4x5 1/4. And I've trimmed off a scrap here of that blue star pattern paper. I'm going to place that along the bottom. And then I'll go ahead and add that panel to the inside of my card base. And that will complete card number 6. For my next card, I'm going to use this Christmas tree shape. So here I've grabbed the foam outline and I'm going to place that directly down on this red pattern paper. You'll see I have a bunch of trees cut off to the side there. I was originally thinking I was gonna layer several of them together and then decided I wanted to keep this card clean and simple, so I will end up only using the one shaker piece. I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up with some of the red sprinkles. I'm using the regular red as well as the red crystals. I'll go ahead then, peel off that backing and add down the acetate covering. And glue my cardstock piece on top. I went ahead and trimmed that out, and here I'm lining up my sentiment, which reads, "It's not what's under the tree that matters, it's who's gathered around it." I'll again stamp that directly on top of the Neenah card base, and I'm using my VERSAFINE Onyx black ink. Here I'll take my tree and I'm going to place that down on top of my card front, and then I will add the little stump below it. And there you can see off to the side I have gone ahead and created a bow out of that red polka dot pattern paper. I'm going to place this down, I'm going to glue it on top of the tree, and then just to make sure it was extra secure, since that wasn't a whole lot of it to grab to, I will go ahead then and add some glue underneath those back ties, and I will place those directly down on the card base. For the inside, I'm again on a Neenah panel trimmed to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to stamp out the sentiment "Sending Christmas Blessings." I've grabbed an extra piece of that red polka dot pattern paper that I used for the bow, and I'm going to add that across the bottom here. I'll trim off the excess, add some glue to the back of that, and place it on the inside of my card base. And that will complete card number 7. For card number 8, I have decided to do a bunch of these packages all together. So I've trimmed out this pattern paper to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to place that here on top of my red card base. And next I'm going to lay out my packages. I wanted to have them sort of staggered a bit, and I'm going to use 3 of them, but I'm only going to create a shaker out of 1. So here I'm getting those lined up. You'll see up top there that I've also cut out some matching ribbons and put together some bows. I have again used some of that gold glitter cardstock from my stash. So here again, I'm just going to use those outlines to make sure I have everything positioned properly. And then for these 2 presents in the back, I'm just going to glue the outline down right around those insides. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add the bows on those back packages as well. I love how detailed they are. They even tapered the top of this ribbon as if it really is tied together and pulling on itself at the top where the bow would be. Now that I've got those down, that'll help me position this top package, which I'm gonna make into a shaker. So again, I'll use that outline, go ahead and place down the inside of my package. Next, I'll add my foam border. I'll fill that up with some red sprinkles. down my acetate covering. And then glue on my cardstock border. Finally, I'm going to add on this gold glitter ribbon, and then I'll place my bows on top of all of the packages. For the inside, I'm again on my Nina panel trimmed to 4x5 1/4. I'm going to stamp out that sentiment. It's not what's under the tree that matters, it's who's gathered around it. And then I've trimmed up another piece of that gold glimmer paper, and I'm going to place that along the bottom. I'll add some glue to the back of my panel and place that here on the inside of my card base. And that will complete card number 8. Here are a few close-ups of the finished cards. In the description box below, you'll find my blog post, which has additional photos and links to the supplies I used. If you enjoyed the video, please leave me a comment or a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.